All right, folks, what is going on? It is Ethan J coming at you guys right from this video. I hope everything is good for you on the other side of the world, guys. So it is Canada Day here in Canada, and we're spending some time out in nature. I'm enjoying what God has created. Today I'm going to give you guys a topic for conversation. So I had a recent interaction with a contractor that did some work in my building. Fantastic guy, stand-up dude. And the conversation that I had with him was talking about specifically fat loss, right? I'm gonna talk to you guys a little bit about how fat loss occurs, why it occurs, why most people can't get below 20% body fat, and how I can help you get there. So just before we start, I've been in the training industry for about 4.5 years. I've met multiple different trainers. The first bit of advice that I wanna give you is always find a trainer that has the results that you wanna have. If they don't look like the way that you wanna look, or they don't have the right type of body that you want, you probably don't wanna take advice from them, right? I'm sitting between 17 to 18% body fat. I'm a little bit heavier right now, I'll be honest. My natural is usually around 15 to 16% body fat naturally. I'd say that my bench press is about 30 pounds more than my body weight. My squat is about 1.5 times my body weight. My deadlift is 2 times my body weight. These are 1 hour reps, right? 1 hour maxes. 50 push-ups clean, give or take a 17 on the deep test, and I'm 29 years old, right? That being said, I want to get into why most people, from what I've seen in my years in the industry, gain weight. So I'm going to use this guy as an example, right? We'll just call him Jay, right? Jay's a hard worker, provides for his family, and he's fresh to the country. So he's kind of new, making money. Money's a priority, and the main focus for him is making money, right? You're on the job all the time, you're constantly moving, right? So you start your job from 9 to 5, you have the rest of your life afterwards. You got a wife at home, you got someone that, you got to spend some time with, great. The problems with the modern life, right? The problems with the modern system is that we're either driving for long periods of time, and then we're sitting for even longer periods of time, right? With sedentary lifestyles. So sedentary means sitting down, right? You're sitting down a lot, right? That's what most people do on a day-to-day basis in society. So one of the ways that you want to start understanding how fat loss occurs is you understand your life in general, right? What are you doing from Sunday to Saturday, right? Monday to Friday? What are you doing on the weekends? You want to know how often you're being active versus non-being active. A lot of people are going to watch this video and say, dude, that's obvious, right? Let me make a disclaimer first. If you're under the ages of 27, I would say, and you're scoffing at my ideas of weight loss, wait till you get to about 30 and then talk to me about weight loss. Your metabolism dictates a lot of your ability to sustain fat loss and weight loss when you're younger. You're just naturally just gonna burn off fat. Your metabolism is going through the roof, right? The same thing I say with a lot of Asian individuals, right? If you look at their metabolisms are amazing. So I would never really trust an Asian trainer to tell me anything about fat loss, because they're natural. Like, if you look at most Asian people, they're naturally lean. You want to look at patterns, guys. This doesn't mean that they have the superpowers of being lean. No, they just naturally follow habitual patterns that allow them to stay lean. So instead of studying people based off of what they're not, you want to understand what they're doing, right? I live in an area that's dominated by Asian individuals. One thing I'll tell you is that Asian individuals spend a lot of time walking. A lot of their life is spent outdoors. They're very open and understanding of flexibility and Tai Chi and Feng Shui, not Feng Shui, but Tai Chi and movement, right? Constantly. And on top of that, they eat very clean. They're not going out and buying the Doritos or processed foods and the garbage that we have in the cities. This goes into my first breakdown, right? So when you understand, I got the handy-dandy whiteboard here, right? When you understand fat loss, you have to understand it as a system, right? It's a system. There's multiple components, right? The first component of fat loss is lifestyle, right? What are you doing versus what you're not doing, right? Activity level. A lot of people want to overestimate what they're doing, right? Or underestimate what they're doing. And a problem with that is the more that you underestimate or overestimate what you're doing, you're not really being practical to the results. A great way to check on exactly where you're at is just doing a standard check to see how lean you are, right? That's the first check, right? You have anything bulking out, you're probably being a little bit bigger. As you can tell, I just ate a meal, so I'm a little bit bulkier than I look. That's the first test. Secondly, if you were to do some aerobic or aerobic exercise, if you're about to do something that required you to do, let's say, climb 20 feet of stairs, right? Or what I've been challenging my subscribers recently is doing a 5K run nonstop. Do you have issues doing that? A 5K run nonstop. If you're having issues with that, if you're having trouble doing walking for more than 10,000 steps in a day, we have a problem, right? That's a huge component to why you are overweight. Your cardiovascular system and your ability to sustain movement for a long period of time has taken a hit, likely because of the patterns that you have done in the past. Ask yourself, what am I doing for work every single day? How am I spending my free time when I'm at home? Am I always on my phone scrolling, right? These are components that actually affect how you are living your day-to-day. So you need to ask yourself this question: what am I doing day by day? And what do I need to do to fix that, right? Activity level dictates a big portion of your weight distribution in your body. A person that is doing 20,000 steps every day, has some type of aerobic exercise, anaerobic exercise, knows the understanding of the 3 different energy levels, and is doing something for their phosphagen system, then doing something for their glycogen system, and then doing something for their oxidative system. So we're talking like long distance running, then we're talking maybe swimming in a swimming pool, and then doing some type of sprinting work, right? On top of moving more, right? Non-exercise active thermogenesis, so taking action that isn't exercise related. It's very mathematically unlikely that this person is going to be overweight or obese, right? You just are doing the right things at the right time. So now that we understand what's giving you the problems for weight loss or weight gain, let's talk a little bit about what's happening for you when it comes to your life, your motivation. Motivation comes and it goes. You can know all the right things, but the reason why a person is overweight, right? I'm just going to draw an overweight person here. I'm just drawing a chubby dude. He's down on his luck, you know, he's been eating out a lot. He's got the man boobs and going on, the big stomach going on, you know? Right? So if you're in this state, right, there's a few components to consider. What are your habits? What do you eat? Do you eat out? What's exercise look like for this guy? Right? These are components to consider. All of these dictate and make this guy who he is. If you're honest, you can tell yourself, you can analyze and find out a few things. The first thing is probably isn't tracking. Food, no exercise. Right? So bad food choices, no exercise, and then no goal. No understanding of his own impact on his health. Right? These are huge factors, right? That's the reason why this dude is probably not too happy. If we flip this over to a leaner guy, right? Broader shoulders. Right? Got some rockin' cool hair. You know, I don't know why I just gave him long curly hair. I wonder why. So we got this guy, right? So the first thing that's different between these two, the clearest thing, is this guy has created a system, his body, that needs the food to be used the right way. So there's probably a system in place that's helping him build muscle. Right? Second thing, he's probably eating the right foods to fuel that process. Eating healthy. To have a low percentage of body fat like that so his abs could show, he's probably doing some type of cardio-based training. Right? Cardio-based training. On top of that, in order to sustain this and look the way that he does, he's probably done this for a long period of time. Discipline. Right? Reps, hours put in. So this is the formula between this guy versus this guy, right? Now I'm making this video specifically because I know this could help someone out there who's kind of, what happens in life, right? We get into this thing called autopilot, right? Autopilot, where we let the demands of life and the struggles of life, the hardships of life, force us into just states of going to work, coming home, and then doing nothing, consuming the lives of other people. You see, a lifestyle like that, where you're in constant autopilot, will make you not only not the best version of you, it'll force you to, it won't force you to do anything. You'll just not have the desire to do the more difficult things. The reason why they say, and this is scientifically proven, that it's more likely that a man in his 30s would be a millionaire than having a six-pack is because having a six-pack is very difficult to do after a certain age. It's very difficult to do. There's parameters that you have to set in place that just make it impossible. Guys, I'm just gonna move some bugs out of the way here. There you go. So, I've pretty much broken down in a nutshell exactly what happens when someone is living a lifestyle like this. Now, my next video, I'm gonna go even more in depth to how you can build a system to start getting into shape. Stay tuned for that.